Parisian? Oh, yes, still now. Hey everybody, welcome to BrickVault. My name's Jack. Today we are doing a Creator Modular set for our Lego city, and this is the Parisian restaurant. The set is recommended for ages 16 and up. It is set number 10243 and it has 2,469 pieces. In total, there are just 5 minifigs, but an assortment of accessories, a really nice outdoor lounge area, even a balcony in the back, as well as a pretty nice little setup for a back alley with a dumpster and a moped. Let's get this set open and see how many bags are inside. All right, so inside the box there are 16 bags in total here, but they're numbered up to 4, and there's 4 bags of each number. So this should break up the building process just a little bit, make things a little bit easier. Here there are 3 manuals, and underneath is a very large gray base plate, and one of these dark gray plates. So quite a bit to build. This is almost exactly 2,500 pieces. This is gonna take quite a while, and I'm really excited to see what this thing turns out to be. So let's get started. All right. Right, so the Parisian restaurant is totally done, and I gotta say there's a lot of really strong aspects to the look of this build. First off, I think it is one of the best looking modular builds from all angles. This means it looks great in the front, there's an awesome stairway that leads up to the side, and the back is pretty much nearly as complete. I know there's a bit more of the sort of embellished exteriors, a nice kind of sculptural building on the outside of the front, as well as of course tile pieces used for the sidewalk and things like that, but really the back looks excellent as well. As the years go by for the modular creator sets, things get more detailed and a little bit easier to build, as well as just the interiors are embellished quite a lot more. And this set coming out only a couple of years ago in 2014 feels like it's just as well detailed as the brick bank that came out this year. And well, the assembly square hasn't quite come out yet, but we'll see what that looks like in a little bit. Anyways, let's talk about the front right here. There is so much happening right on the ground floor. We've got a place for the patrons to eat. It's blocked off by just a few simple chained banisters there, as well as some nice little planer boxes, both underneath those chains, and we've got some bigger plants in between. There's a spot for either 2 to sit at one table or just a solo person with a croissant. But if you'll notice the printed piece of the name of the restaurant, Chez Albert, I'm not sure. The name of the restaurant can also be found, at least the first name can be found underneath the chairs and tables right on the outside here. Was that entirely necessary to make the outside look awesome? No. But was it really cool to discover that as you were building it? Yes. The exterior also has a couple of nice different kind of plants that are closer to the stairway there, as well as a great printed piece that shows the menu on the outside. A very familiar scene with, well, all kinds of restaurants nowadays. The white pillar pieces, or if you can can even call them that, look excellent. I'm not sure exactly what kind of design they're trying to imitate there, but it's a clever bit of building and it makes things look very interesting. We've got a little awning with some vines and some lamps, and as we make it up to the second story, we've got a very tiny balcony with a glass door and a build for some windows that I feel like I've seen before in another modular build. I can't quite put my finger on it, but when we move up and beyond this olive green section, this top area is probably the single best looking bit of external building I've seen for any modular creator set. The feather pieces are overlaying very nicely, but we have those two wonderful sculpture-esque builds that have the croissants and the shell piece that make just a great looking design, but that sleek and curved, harsh angled roof that we have behind it really gives this build its distinct sort of shape. The windows are relatively simple on the other side, though the roof still looks excellent. We have a door with a small awning out there, stairs that lead down to another door, as well as more spots for patrons to eat on a high-rise or sort of a balcony there. There's still a lot happening in the back here. I like the vines that grow up the wall. I think they serve a sort of logistical purpose to block off that black square that is, I think, the build that holds the wine on the inside of the restaurant, but we'll get there when it comes to that. Actually, you know what? I think I've talked about the outside enough. Let's check out the very first floor on the interior. As you can see, this first section actually has two kind of roof points that can take off. First, you can take off the top 2 stories, but also the area with the patrons eating comes off as well in a separate piece, and that's what reveals the kitchen. So I guess we'll start off in the kitchen, and there is just, there's stuff happening in every single corner. There's no wasted space by any means. Towards the back, we've got an area that has pastries and desserts with a pie and some cupcakes, a clock above there, moving over a very large sink with some dishes waiting to be cleaned, or maybe they're already clean, I'm not sure. And then just beyond there, we have an area for preparation. I see a rolling pin on the wall, as well as a couple of different sized knives and an island in the center that serves as both an oven and a stove, and it looks like our chef is preparing a turkey. Oh yeah, I didn't even see that. If you look all the way in the corner, we also have a fridge. You can open it up. Inside we've got some cheese, milk, and a glass bottle that maybe holds something else. The tiling on the floor is excellent. The kitchen just looks so absolutely complete, and it makes me really happy to see how awesome it looks on the inside here. I really wasn't expecting it to look as good as it does. Now, when we move to the restaurant, we've got a great build for the wine case in the back. I don't believe that is the proper name for it, but anyways, you can see a couple of different kinds of bottles resting there. It looks like the floor is hardwood, and the actual dining area consists of just 2 tables with 2 chairs each. Our minifigures are there. It looks like a man is proposing to his girlfriend, but the build along the edge of the wall there is wonderful with the drawn back curtains and the lamps that rest right by the window. It really does make for a nice sort of intimate atmosphere, and the scene that makes up this Parisian restaurant as an entirety really went above and beyond my initial expectations. So let's move on up to the next floor. Right up the stairs, there is more space for people to be dining. 2 more tables, 2 more chairs for each of them. Nice little lamps that hang on the banisters, and we've got some hanging plants and pots. That's just a wonderful little touch. Now, before we go up the next flight of stairs to the top floor, there is a door that leads to the second one. So let's just take off the roof and check out the inside here. This is what looks like a very simple kind of studio apartment. We've got a swivel chair with what looks like a footrest, or maybe a small coffee table with a glass top, and that rests in front of a nice build for a fireplace. What makes me like this fireplace so much, aside from that nice little archway piece that's used in the front, are those angled pieces on the top that make it really look like there is a vent that goes right into the wall. Those seem to be just the perfect pieces to have used right there, and it makes for a wonderful bit of detailing. You can also see a lamp in the corner, and as we make our way to the other side of the room, there is that glass door that leads out to the balcony, and on the other side we have a stool and a small table and a much less extravagant build for a kitchen than we just saw down on the first floor. There's a single cabinet on the top, a couple of drawers down below, and what looks like an oven and a stovetop. This is sort of the cheaper studio apartment like I mentioned before, but what is kind of a cool aspect to this build is that space in the middle can be completely taken up because you can fold down the bed that goes into the wall. I think this was a much more common design way back in the 20s or 30s or 40s or something, and it was kind of an effective way to save space in a really really small apartment if you needed to, and the build works really well. I don't think most people would even notice that there would be a folding function unless you showed it to them. Also, a wonderful added touch is the second door in the back by the kitchen. It leads out to just another tiny little, you can't even call it a balcony, but there is a banister that keeps you from falling out, and it's just another little opening that leads to the alley. Great second story. Now we can go up the stairs to the third floor, and instead of this wonderful build for the roof being able to pop off and see the interior, the section right next to the door just folds on open, and we have what looks sort of like a poor artist's loft. The easel that holds onto the painting can be taken off just by that one stud, and right next to it is the color palette, and in the back we have a tray that holds one of the older, I don't know what you would call that, abstract or modern art paintings. And that's pretty much it in this room, except for this great build for the gigantic fireplace. It's a huge furnace that has one of those big iron doors that you can fold open, and that reveals what I'm going to assume would be the only thing that would heat up this room in the winter. Not much going on in this room, but I guess if you're portraying a starving artist, less is more. So anyways, let's check out the minifigs. I feel like that's the only thing I haven't talked about yet. And here are the two guys that, well, specifically pertain to the restaurant atmosphere. We've got the chef, he's came with a little knife, and also a waiter that's got white pants, white arms, and a black torso piece that is supposed to show he's wearing a vest. He comes with a tray that has a bottle on the back, and he can kind of hold it behind him. I thought that was a cool little touch. Sort of the fancy waiter tray hold technique, I don't know. Anyways, they're pretty simple minifigs. So let's check out the other guys. This is the guy and his girlfriend, at least portrayed in the manual. It shows him proposing to her. Once again, the prints that are used for their torso pieces are nothing special. He seems to have dressed up a little bit nice for the occasion. But anyways, let's move on to our last minifig. I feel like this is the struggling artist minifig. She's the only one that has a truly unique print for the torso, though I don't know if this is exclusive to the set. I think this is a much older style of clothing that she's got, where they're sort of tied off strings instead of buttons. She has a dark braid ponytail that I think you call a French braid if I'm not mistaken. And she also comes with this piece for a scooter. It's like a Vespa or something, but it feels very European. And I think with that, I've gone through the entire review for the set. So with that, I might as well take the Parisian restaurant into the Lego city and include it with the rest of the modular builds. On our previous update, I did have this whole line sort of fleshed out with some alternate builds, but I've moved a few things around, and now this whole first row is truly made of just creator modular sets. So now when I've included this into the lineup, it actually feels a lot more important to have this set than perhaps some of the other ones, and that's mostly because it really does a good job at breaking up this color combination that we've got on the line. So many of these buildings are somewhere between orange and red and dark red, and their color palette just isn't as diverse as what we've got here. And the same can be said for breaking up the look of the skyline. The roof format here is completely different from the rest of the roofs that are either flat or have some little tower pieces on the top with a bell or something. And when we take a look at the modular sets from the back, you can immediately tell which one was designed to be appreciated from all angles. Granted, the corner pieces shouldn't really count as much, and the back design isn't terrible for the fire brigade, but still none of the other modular sets really compare with the Parisian restaurant. Anyways, I believe that is it for this set review, and in terms of modular sets left that we have in our archive, I don't think we're getting a couple of those original modular creator sets. They're just way too expensive to get now, but these are the last two that we got. You can let me know which one you want to see next. I have a feeling though it is probably gonna be the corner piece. And yeah, that is it for this episode. So thanks a lot for watching, everybody. If you enjoy our content, you can always like or subscribe, and I have left a link in the video description below if you want to buy the Parisian restaurant. All right, that's it. Thanks again for watching, and we will see you next time at BrickVault.